We'll chant the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshur-unmilitam yena Tasmai Shri-Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sopadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we were discussing chapter number 9, very important chapter, the most confidential knowledge. And we have, I think, covered till text 6 as of now. So we'll continue further. So we'll have a quick revision. So in these 6 verses, we have seen how Krishna glorifies the knowledge, and he is about to speak to Arjuna. Right, and he also establishes very, let me share my screen, then that will be good. Yes. Oh. Yeah, right. So Krishna said that by knowing this knowledge, he will be relieved from all the miseries, right? And then after that, Krishna speaks about this, the qualities of this knowledge. This knowledge is the king of education, is the most secret of all secrets, and it is the purest, and it gives direct perception of self by realization. It is the perfection of religion, everlasting and joyfully performed. So there are 8 qualities of this knowledge, or knowledge about Krishna or about bhakti, right? And then Krishna speaks about the people, how rare it is to know Krishna. And now in this verse he says about the faithless people. The faithless people, they cannot understand Krishna, even they cannot understand about bhakti as well, right? Asraddha. So those who are not faithful, or who are faithless in the devotional service cannot attain me. So attaining Krishna is the real goal. However, the people who are faithless, they won't be able to attain Krishna because they don't have faith in devotional service, and hence the result is that they are entangled in this birth and death again and again in this material world, right? And then in the 4th verse we discussed about how Krishna is manifested, or he is pervaded in the entire universe. He's pervading everywhere by his Virata Rupa, or unmanifested form, right? And then we did discuss elaborately about the purpose as well, that Krishna is never bound. Everything is also again rest in Krishna's. Krishna is within, Krishna is out as well, right? So Krishna is within this material cosmos, and Krishna is actually out of this as well, and he's a maintainer of all the living entity, and he's everywhere. But I'm not a part of this cosmic manifestation, right? And he says, myself is the very source of creation. So these verses we have discussed elaborately in our previous session, And the last was verse number 6, where we discussed about that how Krishna is. He says, understand that the almighty wind blowing everywhere rest always in the sky. All created beings rest in me. So we took the example of how this, the sky, the wind has a capability to blow anywhere. However, it cannot cross the limit or the sky, right? It cannot cross this, it cannot go beyond the sky. So till that we have discussed. We'll continue today from here, text 7. Yes, okay. Please repeat after me if you can. Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshe Punastani Kalpado Visryajam Aham Sarvabhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshe Punasthani Kalpado Visryajam. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestation enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So Krishna again already described about this material world, and also now from 7 to 9, he's going to describe how it happens. We have earlier seen about this, the age of Brahma, isn't it? And here Krishna is saying that at the end of the millennium, everything actually goes back into Krishna's body as in Mahavishnu's form. And when another day comes, actually get manifested. Prabhupada's quotes from here about this life of Brahma. So at the end of millennium means at the end death of Brahma. So Lord Brahma lives for 100 years, and even there are different kinds of pralaya happens. So this is a main pralaya, or when the universes get dissolved into the body of Mahavishnu. And it happens like when Lord Brahma's night comes, so everything goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. And when, not night, when Brahma dies, so everything goes back into Mahavishnu's body. And again, when another time comes, so when, you can say it's like, when Krishna inhalate, so everything goes back into his body, and when Krishna exhales, the Brahmanda get created. Right? So Prabhupada says about this at the date of Brahma. So Brahma lives for 100 years, and this is actually as 4.3 trillion years of our early years. And his night is also same duration. So one day, that, and again the night, and in a similar way, he lives for 100 years. Right? And that's how everything goes back into Krishna's body, and again it comes back again into this cosmos. So that is Krishna's potency. That's Krishna's potency. And Krishna is saying that I create them again. So annihilation happened, and then creation also again happened after that. Right. Let's see the next. So here is, as we discussed earlier about the 4 kinds of pralaya. So one is Prakritik pralaya, which is basically life of Brahma. Then one is Naimitik pralaya, which is the one day of Brahma. And Nitya pralaya is a constant change. And Atyantik pralaya is the pralaya when this living entity understands the relationship with Krishna, and he tries to go back to spiritual world. So giving up this metal world, he goes back to the spiritual world. That is Atyantik pralaya. Right. So this kind of 4 types of pralaya happens every time. So one day of Brahma, or life of Brahma, and every single moment, and the 4th thing when Atma goes back to spiritual world. These are 4 pralaya. And in this context, Krishna speaks about the millennium, that is Brahma's lifetime, or 100 years. Okay. Let's see the next. See, another important point here is that Krishna says, Kalpado Visujami Aham. So Krishna actually creates again and again. So it means what? Krishna is definitely aloof of that, isn't it? Krishna is not within it. So as earlier Krishna said that I am above this. No, I am not bound in this material cosmos. So that's also again indication gives us that Krishna is saying that I create. So if someone creates, it means what? He is actually aloof of it, isn't it? So that's how Krishna is aloof of even this material cosmos. So he creates it again and again. Okay, let's see text 8. Prakritim Swam Avastabhya Visrajami Punah Punah Bhuta Gramam Imam Krishnam Avasham Prakriter Vashat Prakritim Swam Avasthabhya Visrajami Punah Punah Bhuta Gramam Imam Krishnam Avasham Prakriter Vashat. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So the point here to understand is my will, right? So this cosmos, this whole universe, or maybe unlimited universes, right? This everything is actually what is in control of Krishna. Even Krishna says earlier, isn't it? Mayadakshana Prakriti in chapter 9. Chapter 7. Krishna is saying that everything is in my control. In the same context, again, Krishna is saying there that this creation and annihilation, and again creation, everything happens how? It all happens automatically. Why and how? Just by the will of Krishna. So just by the will of Krishna, this whole cosmos, just imagine this whole universe get annihilated and get recreated just by the will of Krishna, right? So that's how we can understand that's how Krishna's will is. So everything happens in this world just by Krishna's will. So that's again one difference we can understand about our own self and Krishna, right? So we may say, okay, and some people will see it in this chapter further, maybe in 10-12 verses next. The people who tries to claim themselves that I am God or I can become God, right? But Krishna is saying that just by my will, everything happens. So if we can become God, or we are God, so sometimes called, so why that nothing happens when we desire? We have to work hard to fulfill our desire, isn't it? So that's again another difference between the Jiva or living being and Krishna, right? So Krishna desires this whole universe get created and get destroyed as well, just by his will. And if we desire, nothing happens. We have to work hard. Even many times, even by working hard, also we don't get fulfill our desires, right? So that's just saying, just by my will, everything happens automatically. See, another thing we can understand from here is this. We can understand from here one more thing is that, we living entity, even we don't have the desire, I mean not desire, we don't have this capacity, or what we say, I'm not getting the word. Even we can decide, even we can decide that where we want to take birth, or where we want to, where in our next life I will be some a rich person, or anything kind of, right? We can't decide where I'll take birth, either in even in physical space or material space, anything. We can't decide our own self. So we are so bound. But Krishna is saying that just by his will, everything happens. See, let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. So this material world is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This has already been explained several times. At the creation, the material energy is let loose as the Mahatattva, into which the Lord, as his first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, enters. He lies within causal ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. And into each universes, the Lord again enters as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So I think we have discussed this many times as well. And in each universes, is it in the created, each universes is in that way created. He still further manifests himself as Shodakashayi Vishnu, and that Vishnu enters into everything, even into the minute atom. And this fact is explained here as well. So he enters into everything. By Krishna's will it happens. Right. And then again, when time comes, it goes back. Again, Prabhupada also said that different species like, man, animal, beast, birds, everything, they are simultaneously created. So it's also defined that, we say, okay, people were some earlier, they were, monkeys, and then they have become a human being. It's not like that. Right? Prabhupada says here that the different species of life are created immediately along with the universe. The man, animals, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created. So because whatever desires the living entity had at the last annihilation are again manifested. So this is very important point, because the desire which we have, the last desire which we had, actually is going to carry forward in our next life as well. So when in the death of Brahma, everything goes back, but when it's again recreated, we are there, as the soul is there itself, and it get the body accordingly, our previous desire being there, and Krishna fulfills all our desires, right? But when, how, that Krishna only knows, right? And again, Prabhupada mentioned about this Krishna's inconceivable potency, or this word avasham. Avasham is again an important point, where because it happens automatically, everything is just programmed very well, right? So, and then Prabhupada explains about Krishna's inconceivable potency. So how, though Krishna has created everything, but still he has no connection, he is aloof of everything. So he says, this is the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of God. After creating different species of life, he has no connection with them. The creation takes place to accommodate the inclination of the various living entities, and so the Lord does not become involved with it, right? So he's creating, but still he is aloof of everything. Let's see what Krishna says our next. I think we discussed now that Krishna is not bound anyway by all these things itself, right? Let's see. Can you repeat after me? Nacha mam. I can't hear anyone.
Nacha mam
Tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya udasina vad asinam asaktam eshu karmashu nacha mam tani karmani nibadhananti dhananjaya udasina vad asinam asaktam teshu karmashu. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. So Krishna is neutral. Though everything is happening by his will, but still he is not bound by this. right? So everything happens by his energies, right? So that's why he creates everything, but still he is not attached. But if you take ourselves in this context, when we create something, we get too much attached. Let's suppose when we create our a house, we work hard so much, we take loan, we repay loan, and we have some affection towards our possessions, like our house, or maybe you can say car or anything, isn't it? But Krishna is saying, well, I create everything, but still I'm not attached to anything, I'm neutral, right? So that's how, again, a difference between the Jiva and Krishna. So Krishna though creates everything, the whole gigantic universe, but still he is not attached ever to all these things. And we create even something, but we are completely attached to those things. And we say, okay, it's all created by me itself, right? So Prabhupada says, one should not think in this connection that Supreme Personality of Godhead has no engagement. Though, as he says, he says, Prabhupada making this point because Krishna says, I am ever detached from all these material activities, right? But Prabhupada, that's why Prabhupada says that one should not think that Supreme Personality of God has no engagement. In the spiritual world, he is always engaged. He is always engaged doing pastime with his devotees, right? So he's always engaged. And Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita saying that he is always involved in his eternal blissful spiritual activities, but he has nothing to do with material activities. That's to be understood, that he is aloof for these material activities, but in the spiritual world, he is always engaged with his devotees in different pastimes, right? And as I said earlier, these material activities are being carried on by his different potencies. So see, the point is, Krishna, he himself doesn't need to come to do all the things. He has all his energies and potencies, they are all working accordingly. So like as for example, he wanted to give light for us. He don't need to be present in that, but he created sun. Sun God is there to take care of the light for all this of this material world, right? When he wants to create this creation, he doesn't have to create everything. He just gives the knowledge to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma makes the secondary creation. Yeah, Lord Krishna provided everything, and Lord Brahma created everything. So that's how secondary creation happened by Lord Brahma. So Krishna is actually Atmaram. He is completely neutral, and he's completely satisfied. And however, he is always in the spiritual world engaged with his devotees. Right. So that's how Prabhupada says again that Lord is always neutral in the material activities of this created world. And this neutrality is mentioned here in the word Udashina. Udashina means he is neutral. Again, although he has control over every minute details of material activities, he is sitting as if neutral. So this example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put to jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth, but still he is neutral. So that's how Prabhupada just trying to make us understand about how Krishna doing everything is neutral. He's given an example of a high court judge, right? Okay, and Prabhupada again quotes Vedanta Sutra saying that Neshamya Nirgrahante Grahanayeta. He is not situated in the dualities of the material world. He is transcendental to all these dualities, right? So let's take text 10. Yeah, I think I quoted earlier wrong. This from chapter 9 itself. Maya dakshina prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagada viparivartate. Maya dakshina prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam
Suyate Sacharacharam
Hetunanena Kaunteya
Hetunanena Kaunteya
Jagata Viparivartate.
Jagati Parivartate.
This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So, this creation and annihilation, as discussed earlier, Krishna doesn't have to come personally. Sorry. So this creation and annihilation, how it happens? It happens by Krishna's one of the energy, and the metal energy is one of his energy, and that is very importantly. Krishna says that this prakriti is actually working under his control, Maya Dakshena. So nothing, though Krishna is aloof, Krishna is personally not involved, but everything is working under his direction only. Right. So that's how Krishna says that everything is working under my direction, under my instruction. And everything means all moving and non-moving beings. And under the rule of this metal nature, see, material nature is one of its energies, and that energy is working under the control or direction of Krishna. And under its rules, this creation and annihilation happens again and again of every living entity. Right. So Prabhupada says it is clearly stated herein that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all activities of material world, remains the supreme director. The Supreme Lord is the supreme will and background of this material manifestation, but the management is being conducted by material nature. As says, different energies of Krishna are working for him, and everything is under Krishna's control. Right. And again, we will see it in the next couple of verses. Krishna says, Pitamaha Jagato Mata Tata. Pitamaha. So Krishna is saying, I'm the father, I'm the mother, and the grandchild as well. So we'll see that it will come. So again, Prabhupada quotes earlier here that Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that all the living entities in different forms and species, I'm the father. And the father gives seeds to the womb of the mother for a child. And similarly, the Supreme Lord, by his mere glance, injects all the living entity into the womb of material nature. And this is again Krishna's another potency. Right. So Prabhupada quotes another example. He says that this example is given in Smriti when there is a fragment flower before someone. The fragment is touched by smelling power of the person. Yet the smelling and the power are detached from one another. This is similarly connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordain. In summary, material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything. And yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. So Krishna he's actually impregnating this all living entity in this material nature, but still he is detached from all material activities. Right. So just to summarize, this whole cosmos, this creation, annihilation, and everything happening under instruction of Krishna, and he is the one who is controlling everything. He says everything is actually under his control, and still he is aloof of everything. Right. That's the potency of Krishna. That's the inconceivable potency of Krishna. All right. And from text 11, as of now, we have seen about how Krishna creates, annihilates this material world and maintains everything. But from here, from text 11 to text 25, another section comes where we'll see the different types of worshipper of Lord Krishna. Remember when in chapter 7 as well, the same way happened. Krishna speaks about the glories of hearing and then about Krishna's energy. And he spoke many things like, how Krishna is pervading everywhere. He is in the water, the test of water, the light of sun, the heat, and everything is Krishna, right? And then he concluded saying about the demigod worshipper and the impersonalist, right? In the similar way, here Krishna is going to explain more about his energies, and from here, in two verses, 11 and 12, Krishna speaks about the people who are foolish or who are faithless, what happens to him, and why they don't understand Krishna, and what happens there to them who are foolish, right? So let's try to see two verses at least. Avajananti
Avijananti
mamamudha
mamamudha
manushim
manushim
tanum ashitam
tanumashitam
param
param
bhavam
bhavam
ajananto
ajananto
mama
mama
bhuta
bhuta
maheshwaram
maheshwaram
avajananti mamamudha
avijananti mamamudha
manushim tanumashitam
manushim tanumashitam
param bhavam ajananto
param bhavam jananto
mama bhuta maheshwaram.
mama bhuta maheshwaram.
So this word mudha, so the Prabhupada quote this word many times, saying that Krishna says the people mudha, the foolish men. What he says? Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. Very importantly. So, and they do not know my transcendental nature, the Supreme Lord, after all that be. So when we think, so what does it really mean? This fools deride me when I descend in the human form. So many times we see that people say Krishna, he is just a coward boy, he is just a magician, he is something like that, right? So this is why Krishna is saying that the people who are foolish, they deride me, they do not accept me as Supreme Lord. Those who are foolish, they do not accept me as Supreme Lord, right? When I descend. So there's a nice example, even the yogis and even the people, when they worship Krishna in his Vishnu form or in the Krishna form in the temple, the deities, they see and they worship. But when Krishna comes in front of them, they don't accept him as Krishna, isn't it? That's why it's called as fool. So the people who are foolish in nature, they do not understand, or they deride Krishna when Krishna appears in this material world in his two-handed form, right? So this is a long purport and a very nice description given by Prabhupada in the two verses. We'll see it. I'll have to listen one by one. And if we see earlier, Krishna explains about the faithless people. They do not come to me. So we must be faithful to Krishna, faithful to hearing about Krishna, faithful to Bhagavad Gita. See, the point is, we living entity cannot ever understand Krishna in complete. But if we have faith, then we can understand that, okay, whatever Krishna does is actually is transcendental, is divine. So we'll just see a small example. Let's read the purport, then we'll see the examples if you have time. Because it's a long purport and very nicely explained by Prabhupada. So he says, Prabhupada says that from the other explanation of the previous verse in this chapter, it is clear that Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing like a human being, is not a common man. Because we have seen earlier why it's not common man. Because Krishna says, by my will, this whole cosmos got created. By my will, this whole cosmos got annihilated. And my energy is metal energy. It's my energy, and through him or through her, everything is happening. And I impregnate every living entity in this metal world. Right? That's why he is not a common man. Clear, right? So the personality of Godhead who conducts creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this complete cosmos manifestation cannot be a human being or cannot be a common man, right? Yet Prabhupada posts, yet there are many foolish men who consider Krishna to be merely a powerful man and nothing more. That's why it's called foolish. And actually, he is the original Supreme Personality as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. So yesterday, we had program in Hindu temple, not yesterday, in Saturday actually. So there we are discussing about this verse nicely, that Ishvara Parama Krishna. So what that does mean? So Ishvara means controller, isn't it? And we all are controllers in some extent. We are controller. However, who is the Parama controller or Parameshwar? That is Bhagavan, that is Krishna. So Lord Brahma says Ishvara Parama Krishna. So Krishna is the supreme controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. He is giving the name as well. Who is the controller? The name is there. Even in Bhagavatam also the name is given. So there are so many different incarnations of Lord. Still, Bhagavatam says, Ete cha amsha kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swam. This word Krishna, the Krishna who is the Krishna, the son of Vasudeva Krishna. He is the Bhagavan. He is the supreme fountainhead of everything. Right? So Brahma Samhita says as well, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. And Krishna spoke the same thing just before 2 verses, isn't it? Krishna said that everything happens by my will, and at the end of millennium, everything gets annihilated and it comes into my body. And when day comes, I again create everything. So it means someone is aloof of so he's creating and annihilating as well. And Lord Brahma confirms this from this verse of Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam also speaks the same thing. Ete chamsa kalapam. So when Srimad Bhagavatam explains about different incarnation of Lord, and then this verse being says that whatever that being explained earlier, like Narsimha Avatar, or Bara Avatar, or Matsya Avatar, Rama, Krishna, Balram, then he says this verse, Ete chamsa kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan. After explaining everything, he said that Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, he is the actually fountainhead of every incarnation. Right? So the people, they are foolish who do not understand Krishna's transcendental nature, and they think that he is just a common, or maybe a more than common, maybe a magician, not more than that. Right? And then purpose, as you've seen, we discussed earlier that what Ishvara means controller, and one appears greater than another, isn't it? So when we say controller means what, and Prabhupada gives a nice example. In the ordinary management of affair in this material world, we find some official or director, and above him there are secretary, and above him there are minister, and above him a president. So someone is actually controlling the others. Right? So each of them is controlled or controlled by another. I am controlling something, but I'm controlled by someone. So let's, for example, even in our company hierarchy, we have a team lead. So team lead actually is managing some 4 or 5 peoples, but the team lead again is being controlled by manager, project manager, and project manager is controlled by someone else. In a similar way, everyone is controlled by someone else, isn't it? No one can say that I am completely free. But Krishna, when it comes, he is completely free, because he is not Ishvara, he is a Parama Ishvara. He is not just God, he is Supreme God. Right? He is not just Atma, he is a Param Atma. And his body is Sachidananda. So that's how Krishna is superior. He's the fountainhead of everything. Right? And then Prabhupada explains about the Krishna's body, how his body is. His body is Sachidananda Vigraha. His body is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. He is absolute. And Krishna, Prabhupada also quotes from other Vedic languages saying that Sachidananda Rupaya Krishnaya. So the one who has Sachidananda form is who? That is Krishna. That I offer my obeisances on the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is eternal, blissful form of knowledge. It's from Gopal Tapani Upanishad. Right. So then let's go to the next when Prabhupada says again here, saying that despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna's body, his full bliss and knowledge, there are many so-called scholars and commentators of Bhagavad Gita who deride Krishna as an ordinary man. So understanding or reading scriptures is actually what Veda Sarver Ame Vavedyo. Krishna says that studying the Vedas is actually to know me, know who am I, and who am I means to know who Krishna is. Not I is again a soul, but knowing Krishna is the sense of all scriptures. And Prabhupada says even there are so many scholars, even they have gone through very well understanding the Bhagavad Gita, reading Sanskrit sloka, but still they deride Krishna as an ordinary man. And the scholar, the scholarship is actually not a quality to understand Krishna. The only quality to understand Krishna is surrenderness, or to be faithful to the scriptures, to the Guru and Krishna's word, right? So the scholar may be born as an extraordinary man due to his previous good work, but this conception of Sri Krishna is due to poor fund of knowledge. So what conception? The conception that Krishna is an ordinary man. This conception is actually because of his poor fund of knowledge. So scholarly, maybe we can have, done so much of PhD and everything. I can learn, recite Sanskrit sloka very well, read it very well. But unless and until I understand that Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, essence remains the same. Right? There's a nice line I was sharing today. Let me check it if I can find it. I think I've made another note somewhere. Yes, I got it. So scholarship without devotion is just a proud. So we may be a very scholar, but if you don't have devotion toward Krishna, that scholarship is of no use, right? So that's how Prabhupada says that here it is. The foolish consider Krishna as an ordinary human being because they do not know the confidential activities of Supreme Lord and his different energies. So that's why this chapter is entitled the most confidential knowledge, right? So because without understanding this complete knowledge, it's not possible to understand Krishna. Anyway, it's not possible, as I said earlier, it's not possible for anyone to understand Krishna completely. But when we have faith that Krishna is Supreme Being, then whatever the activities he does, we accept it very easily, right? And again, Prabhupada goes more on this purpose. Maybe we'll try to cover this verse again in our next session and continue there. I just wanted to say another small story to how the faith is. So unless and until we have complete faith towards the scriptures, towards the Guru, towards this science, it's very difficult to understand Krishna. So once what happened, I think you must have heard earlier, but just to put it again, because why foolish people, they tend to say that Krishna is just a human being, not a Supreme Lord, because Prabhupada says because of the poor form of knowledge. So once what happened, Narada Muni was going to Vaikuntha to meet Vishnu, and there was a cobbler he met. He says, okay, you're going to Narada Muni, you're going to meet Vishnu, so could you please ask him, when shall I come back to this spiritual world? He said, okay, I'll ask. And then after some time, he met another Brahmana. He asked the same question. So Lord Narada Muni, he went to see Krishna and Vishnu, and he says that, while I was coming, I met two persons. One is the cobbler and one is the Brahmana. And then they both asked the same question, that when they will come back to spiritual world. I mean, then when they're going to lose this material identity and come back to my spiritual nature. So Lord Vishnu, or you can say Krishna, he said that when you go to Brahmana, he tell him that he's going to take some more thousands lifetimes. And the cobbler, he will come back in this time, in this lifetime. Narada Muni was a bit shocked. He says, how could? Because this Brahmana is actually, every now and then he's reciting your name. He is actually worshipping you with the mantras and everything. And cobbler is anyway, he's a poor man and he's doing his job. But how could he come? Then Vishnu said, okay, I won't give you the answer, but when you meet them, you will get the answer. So this Brahmana will ask you a question, and it say him that Krishna or Vishnu, he's trying to pass an elephant from the hole of the needle. Or, in the needle, there's a small hole is there. And from that hole, he's trying to pass an elephant. So as this question was said to Narada Muni came and he met Brahmana because he was curious to know how Brahmana is going to take more 1,000 lives. But this cobbler coming back this lifetime. So the Brahmana, he saw Narada Muni, he eagerly said, okay, what did Vishnu say? He said, you're going to take a lot of time. So, okay, he said, okay, that's fine. Then what he was doing? And then the Brahmana, the Narada Muni said the same thing, yes, because, he was just sitting and he's passing this elephant, the head of the needle. And the Brahmana says, what kind of work he was doing? Can anyone pass an elephant from the head of the needle? And then after that, Narada Muni went to see this cobbler. Even cobbler first, he didn't ask about what Krishna says. He says, what Krishna was doing. And Narada Muni says the same thing. And the cobbler started dancing. He said, wow, only Krishna can do this. And Narada Muni understood that why Krishna told that the cobbler going to liberate at this lifetime itself. Then Narada Muni stopped him. He says, could you believe it? That he was passing an elephant from this needle. He says, why? Why not? What's wrong to believe it? Why can't we believe it? He said, how? He says, he is so powerful that he can just plant a huge tree, gigantic tree in a seed. So when we row the seed, and maybe when we water for some time, and the seed becomes a huge tree. If he can do that, then why can't he pass an elephant from the head of the needle? So that's faith, right? So that's the point. So this is the faith. There are so many magnanimous what Krishna did, but that might be out of our range to understand it. And we say, okay, he's just a magician. How can I understand this is Krishna? But by keeping the Shastras in front of us, we should understand that this is the Krishna and he can do whatever he wants. As just he said, we discussed today in a couple of verses back, that by his will only, this whole creation created and annihilated. So just imagine what he cannot do, right? So the people who are foolish, they don't see these, they don't understand this, and hence they say this is just a very coward boys, and maybe a powerful, but he's not Krishna, right? And anyway, we'll discuss on this topic again, these two verses 11 and 12, and then we'll move on. Anyone have any quick questions or thoughts? I want to share something. Okay, so now I'll stop here then. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna. See you all tomorrow.